The conference room fell silent as Lieutenant Sarah Chen stood at attention, her military decorations catching the fluorescent light. 30 pairs of eyes stared at her with a mixture of skepticism and accusation. The whispers had been growing louder for weeks. How could someone so young, so slight, claim to have survived the grueling Navy SEAL training that broke even the strongest men? "Ma'am, we have reason to believe you've been falsifying your military record," the stern-faced investigator announced, sliding a thick folder across the mahogany table. "These allegations of stolen valor are serious. Career-ending serious." Sarah's hands remained steady at her sides, but inside, her heart hammered against her ribs. 27 years old, 5'4", and weighing barely 130 pounds, she had heard the doubts before. How could she convince them of something that seemed impossible even to her sometimes? As the accusations mounted and the evidence against her piled up, Sarah noticed a figure in the corner, a decorated general who had remained silent throughout the interrogation. His weathered face bore the scars of countless battles, and his chest displayed ribbons that spoke of legendary service. When the room erupted in heated debate about her fate, the general slowly rose from his chair. The room fell silent as he approached Sarah, his heavy boots echoing against the polished floor. He leaned in close, his voice barely above a whisper, and spoke words that would change everything. What he revealed in that moment would not only vindicate Sarah but expose a truth so extraordinary that it would rewrite everything they thought they knew about courage, sacrifice, and the hidden heroes who serve in the shadows. Sarah Chen had always been the smallest person in any room, but she had never let that define her limits. Growing up in a modest apartment in San Diego with her immigrant parents, she watched her father work 3 jobs to support the family, while her mother cleaned office buildings late into the night. Their sacrifices taught her that strength came not from size, but from determination. The military had never been her childhood dream. While other kids played with action figures, Sarah buried herself in books about marine biology and dreamed of protecting ocean ecosystems. But everything changed the day she witnessed a terrorist attack during her college trip to Europe. She watched in horror as innocent people ran for their lives, and in that moment, she knew her calling had shifted. She wanted to protect people, to stand between evil and those who couldn't defend themselves. When Sarah walked into the Navy recruitment office 3 months before her college graduation, the recruiter looked her up and down with barely concealed skepticism. At 22, she stood barely over 5 feet tall and weighed less than most high school athletes. Her quiet demeanor and soft-spoken voice seemed better suited for a library than a battlefield. "The Navy has many opportunities for someone with your academic background," the recruiter said, sliding brochures for intelligence analysis and communications across his desk. "These roles would be perfect for you." "I want to be a SEAL." The recruiter's laugh was automatic, almost cruel. "Ma'am, with all due respect, the physical requirements alone would eliminate you in the first week. The Naval Special Warfare community is designed for elite athletes, not..." He gestured vaguely at her small frame. That conversation only strengthened her resolve. Sarah began training immediately, waking up at 4 in the morning to run 10 miles before classes. She lifted weights until her muscles screamed, swam until her lungs burned, and pushed her body beyond what anyone thought possible. Her college friends thought she had lost her mind, watching her transform from a quiet academic into someone obsessed with physical punishment. The real test came 6 months later when she reported to Great Lakes for basic training. The drill instructors took one look at her and assigned her to the front of every formation, ensuring she would be the first to fail when they couldn't keep up. They called her tiny and made jokes about needing a stepladder to reach the pull-up bars. But Sarah refused to quit. When others fell behind during long runs, she was still going strong. When recruits twice her size struggled with the obstacle courses, she found ways to use technique and intelligence to overcome what she lacked in brute force. Her swim times were exceptional, her endurance legendary, and her mental toughness unbreakable. The drill instructors stopped laughing when she consistently scored in the top percentiles of every physical test. Her classmates, initially dismissive, began to respect her determination. By graduation, Sarah had earned the grudging admiration of everyone around her, but she knew the real challenge lay ahead. Naval Special Warfare Preparatory School was designed to weed out the weak before they even reached SEAL training. The statistics were brutal. Only 10% of candidates who entered would eventually earn the coveted Trident pin. For women, the numbers were virtually non-existent. The program had only recently opened to female candidates, and the few who had attempted it were elite athletes who still failed to complete the training. Sarah's arrival at the prep school created an immediate stir. Word had spread about the small recruit who had dominated basic training. But seeing her in person, many instructors remained skeptical. They had seen motivated candidates before, and motivation alone wasn't enough to survive what lay ahead. The physical screening test came first, a series of minimum requirements that eliminated roughly half the candidates before training even began. Sarah watched men built like professional athletes struggle with the timed runs and swim events. When her turn came, she approached each challenge with quiet confidence. The pull-ups were her biggest concern. The minimum requirement was 10, but she needed to exceed that to prove herself. As she gripped the bar, she could hear whispers from the observers questioning whether she could even reach the minimum. She completed 15 perfect repetitions, her form flawless even as her muscles screamed in protest. The swimming portion was where she truly shined. Her technique, honed through years of early morning pool sessions, was poetry in motion. She glided through the water with an efficiency that amazed even the instructors, finishing well ahead of candidates who had been swimming competitively for years. But it was during the psychological evaluation that Sarah faced her most difficult challenge. The evaluator, a grizzled veteran who had seen thousands of candidates come and go, studied her file with interest. "You understand what you're signing up for?" he asked, not looking up from her paperwork. "This isn't about proving a point or breaking barriers. This is about life and death situations, where your teammates will depend on you absolutely." Sarah met his gaze steadily. "I understand that every person on my team deserves someone who will never quit on them, regardless of the circumstances. My size might be different, but my commitment isn't." The evaluator made notes in her file, his expression unreadable. "The training will try to break you in ways you can't imagine. Physical pain is just the beginning. We'll mess with your mind, deprive you of sleep, and put you in situations designed to make you quit. Why do you think you can handle what has broken men twice your size?" "Because I've already been through worse," Sarah replied simply. "I've spent my whole life being told I'm not big enough, not strong enough, not tough enough. But I'm still here, and I'll still be here when this is over." Her confidence wasn't bravado. It was built on years of proving herself against impossible odds. Every coach who had cut her from sports teams, every teacher who had doubted her capabilities, every person who had looked at her and seen limitations instead of potential had forged her into something unbreakable. The prep school training pushed every candidate to their absolute limits. 20-hour days filled with endless physical challenges, academic work, and psychological pressure designed to reveal character under extreme stress. Sarah watched strong candidates break down and quit during simple exercises, not because they lacked physical ability, but because they couldn't handle the mental game. Her approach was methodical and strategic. While others relied on raw strength and aggressive tactics, Sarah used intelligence and technique. During combat training scenarios, she studied her opponent's patterns and exploited weaknesses rather than trying to overpower them. In leadership exercises, she earned respect through competence and reliability, rather than intimidation. The instructors began to notice her unique approach to challenges. Where other candidates might brute force their way through problems, Sarah found elegant solutions that accomplished the mission with less energy expenditure. Her small size, initially seen as a liability, became an advantage in certain scenarios requiring stealth or accessing tight spaces. One particular exercise involved carrying wounded teammates across difficult terrain, while other candidates struggled to lift and carry partners who might outweigh them by 50 pounds or more. Sarah developed a technique using leverage and physics that allowed her to move casualties efficiently despite the weight difference. "Chen's got something different," one instructor confided to his colleague after watching her performance. "It's not just heart. Plenty of candidates have heart. She's got this ability to find solutions where others only see problems." Her academic performance was equally impressive. The classroom portions of training covered everything from advanced mathematics and physics to foreign languages and cultural studies. Sarah's educational background gave her advantages in these areas. but she also helped struggling teammates master difficult concepts, building relationships that would prove crucial in later phases of training. As prep school neared its end, Sarah had established herself as one of the top candidates in her class. Her physical scores were consistently in the upper percentiles, her academic marks were excellent, and her leadership evaluations showed someone who could be trusted under pressure. But she knew the real test was yet to come. Basic underwater demolition/SEAL training BUD/S was legendary for its brutality. The 6-month program had 3 phases, each designed to push human performance to absolute limits. The famous Hell Week during the first phase alone eliminated most candidates who made it that far. For Sarah, it represented the culmination of years of preparation and the chance to prove that determination could overcome any physical limitation. On the Sunday evening before BUD/S began, Sarah sat alone on the beach near the Naval Special Warfare Center, watching the sunset paint the Pacific Ocean in brilliant oranges and purples. Tomorrow would begin the most challenging period of her life, but she felt ready. Every morning run, every hour in the gym, every moment of doubt she had pushed through had led to this point. She thought about her parents, who still didn't fully understand why their academically gifted daughter had chosen such a difficult path. She thought about the recruiters and instructors who had initially doubted her capabilities. Most importantly, she thought about the terrorists she had seen in Europe and the innocent people who needed protection from those who would do them harm. As the sun disappeared below the horizon, Sarah stood and brushed the sand from her uniform. Tomorrow, she would begin proving that heroism came in all sizes, and that the heart of a warrior had nothing to do with physical stature. She was ready to show the world what 5-4 of pure determination could accomplish.
The alarm sounded at 0430 hours on Monday morning.
But Sarah had already been awake for 30 minutes, mentally preparing herself for what lay ahead. Basic underwater demolition/SEAL training officially began with PT on the beach, where 180 candidates would start a journey that historically only 18 would complete. The instructors appeared like harbingers of controlled chaos, their voices cutting through the pre-dawn darkness as they organized the massive class into formation. Sarah found herself in the 3rd row, surrounded by men who towered over her, their nervous energy palpable in the cool morning air. "Welcome to BUD/S!" roared the senior instructor, a weathered veteran whose chest displayed ribbons from conflicts spanning 2 decades. "Look around you. Take a good look, because most of you won't be here in 6 weeks. This program will find your breaking point and push you past it. Some of you will quit before breakfast." The physical training that followed was merely a preview of the intensity to come. Push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, and a 4-mile run that left several candidates vomiting in the sand. Sarah maintained pace with the front group, her smaller stride requiring more steps but her cardiovascular conditioning keeping her competitive with much larger athletes. During the run, she overheard conversations that revealed the doubts many had about her presence in the program. Some were openly skeptical, wondering how long the diversity experiment would last. Others were more diplomatic but equally unconvinced that she belonged among the elite warrior candidates. Their skepticism only fueled her determination. Every whispered comment and sidelong glance became motivation to prove that they had underestimated what she was capable of accomplishing. The first phase of BUD/S focused on basic conditioning, gradually increasing the physical and mental pressure until candidates reached their breaking points. The daily schedule was relentless. PT before dawn, hours of running in soft sand, ocean swims in frigid water, and countless calisthenics that pushed muscles to failure. Sarah's approach remained methodical and intelligent. While others tried to muscle through exercises, she focused on perfect form and efficient movement. During log PT, where teams of 7 carried telephone poles weighing over 400 pounds, she positioned herself strategically to maximize her contribution while compensating for her smaller frame. The surf torture sessions were particularly brutal, candidates lying in the freezing Pacific while waves crashed over them for extended periods. The cold was designed to break mental barriers, forcing candidates to confront their deepest fears about discomfort and mortality. Sarah discovered that her smaller body mass made her more susceptible to hypothermia, but she developed techniques to maintain core temperature and mental focus that impressed even veteran instructors. Chen's got ice water in her veins. one instructor noted after watching her remain calm and focused during a particularly brutal surf session while larger candidates shivered uncontrollably beside her. Size doesn't matter when your mind is that strong. The academic portions of first phase covered combat diving physics, basic demolitions, and small unit tactics. Sarah's educational background gave her advantages in the technical subjects, and she began tutoring struggling teammates during evening study sessions. This generosity built relationships and earned respect that would prove crucial during team exercises. Her swim buddy, Rodriguez, was a former college football player who initially questioned being paired with someone half his size. After several weeks of training together, his attitude completely changed. "I thought I got stuck with dead weight," he admitted to other candidates. "Turns out I got the strongest swimmer in the class and someone who never quits on her partner. I'd rather have Chen watching my back than most guys twice her size." These partnerships became essential as first phase intensified toward its culminating challenge, Hell Week. The legendary 5-day period with minimal sleep, constant physical activity, and psychological pressure, designed to reveal who possessed the mental fortitude to continue under impossible circumstances. Hell Week began on a Sunday evening with hours of surf torture, followed by continuous physical challenges that would last until Friday afternoon. Candidates were allowed roughly 4 hours of sleep total across the entire week, with meals consisting of whatever they could consume during brief breaks between evolutions. The first night eliminated 30 candidates who decided that no career was worth the suffering they were experiencing. Sarah watched classmates she had trained alongside for weeks ring the brass bell that signified voluntary withdrawal, their dreams of becoming SEALs ending in the darkness beside the Pacific. By Tuesday morning, hallucinations began affecting sleep-deprived candidates. Sarah found herself seeing things that weren't there and having conversations with people who existed only in her exhausted mind. But she had trained for this, understanding that mental discipline would determine who survived when physical capabilities reached their limits. The boat crews became essential support systems as the week progressed. Sarah's crew of 7 had initially worried about carrying dead weight, but her contributions became increasingly valuable as larger teammates began breaking down. Her technical swimming skills kept the crew competitive during water events, while her mental toughness helped maintain morale when others wanted to quit. During one particularly brutal evolution involving boat carries across miles of soft sand, Sarah noticed that Rodriguez was struggling with leg cramps that threatened to end his Hell Week. Without hesitation, she shifted positions to help carry his portion of the weight, even though it meant increased suffering for her already exhausted body. "I can make it," Rodriguez whispered through gritted teeth. "I know you can," Sarah replied, adjusting her grip on the boat to take more weight. "But you don't have to do it alone." That moment epitomized what SEAL training was really about. Not individual heroics, but the willingness to suffer for teammates who would do the same in return. The instructors witnessed countless acts of selfless service during Hell Week, but Sarah's consistent willingness to help others despite her own suffering marked her as someone who understood the deeper values the program sought to instill. By Thursday night, the surviving candidates moved through evolutions like zombies, their bodies running on pure willpower, while their minds operated in altered states of consciousness. Sarah hallucinated entire conversations with her parents and found herself reciting marine biology facts from college courses to stay mentally engaged. The final challenge came Friday morning, a 14-mile run that would conclude Hell Week for those strong enough to complete it. Sarah's legs felt like concrete pillars as she began the run, but she had learned to push past physical discomfort and focus on the deeper purpose that had brought her to this point. Mile after mile, candidates dropped out of the run, unable to continue despite making it through nearly 5 days of torture. Sarah maintained steady pace, her breathing controlled and her focus absolute. When she crossed the finish line, only 89 of the original 180 candidates remained. The instructors who had initially questioned her presence now looked at her with unmistakable respect. She had not only survived Hell Week, but had done so while helping teammates and maintaining the highest standards of performance. Her small stature had become irrelevant compared to the size of her heart and the strength of her character. Second phase brought new challenges focused on combat diving and underwater operations. The academic workload intensified with complex physics calculations, dive planning, and equipment maintenance that eliminated candidates who couldn't master the technical requirements. Sarah excelled in the academic environment, but the physical demands remained brutal. Long underwater swims with heavy equipment, night diving exercises in murky water, and combat scenarios that tested skill under pressure. Her swimming background proved invaluable as she moved through the water with efficiency that amazed instructors and classmates alike. Pool competency became the defining challenge of second phase. Candidates had to demonstrate ability to solve complex underwater emergencies while scuba diving, including equipment malfunctions that could prove fatal in real combat situations. The exercises were designed to induce panic and test whether candidates could think clearly under life-threatening stress. Sarah approached pool comp with characteristic, methodical preparation. She studied every possible equipment failure scenario and practiced emergency procedures until they became automatic responses. When testing day arrived, she moved through the water like she belonged there, solving problems with calm efficiency, while other candidates panicked and failed. "Chen makes this look easy," one instructor observed as Sarah completed her pool comp evolution flawlessly. "She's not just surviving these challenges, she's mastering them." Third phase focused on land warfare, demolitions, and small unit tactics. The candidates who remained, now fewer than 40 from the original class, learned weapons systems, combat medicine, and the tactical skills that would define their effectiveness as special operations warriors. The demolitions training was particularly intensive, requiring precise calculations and flawless execution with explosives that could kill everyone in the vicinity if handled incorrectly. Sarah's academic background in mathematics and physics gave her advantages in understanding blast effects and charge placement, but the practical applications required steady nerves under pressure. During one memorable exercise, Sarah's team was tasked with destroying a simulated enemy installation using minimal explosive charges. While other teams relied on overwhelming firepower, Sarah calculated precise charge placements that would achieve the mission objective with maximum efficiency and minimal collateral damage. That's surgical precision, the demolitions instructor noted as Sarah's charges detonated in perfect sequence, completely destroying the target structure. She's not just following procedures, she's understanding the science and adapting it to the tactical situation. The final exercise of BUD/S was a comprehensive field training exercise that tested everything candidates had learned across 6 months of training. Teams operated independently for a week, completing missions that required seamless integration of all their skills while under constant evaluation by instructors. Sarah's team performed flawlessly, with her contributions in planning, execution, and leadership earning recognition from evaluators. When the exercise concluded, only 22 candidates from the original class of 180 remained eligible for graduation. Standing on the beach where her journey had begun 6 months earlier, Sarah reflected on the transformation she had undergone. The person who had started BUD/S was strong and determined, but the woman who had survived it was something more. A proven warrior who had earned her place among an elite brotherhood through sacrifice, service, and unbreakable will. The graduation ceremony was attended by families, senior military leaders, and previous SEAL graduates who understood the significance of what the survivors had accomplished. When Sarah's name was called and she stepped forward to receive her BUD/S certificate, the applause was thunderous, recognition of not just her personal achievement, but what she represented for the future of naval special warfare. But earning the right to continue SEAL training was only the beginning. Advanced training schools lay ahead. SEAL qualification training, specialized skill development, and eventual assignment to an operational team where she would prove herself in real combat situations. The doubts that had followed her throughout BUD/S didn't disappear with graduation. Some observers remained convinced that she would struggle in advanced training or operational assignments where her size might become a greater liability. But Sarah had learned to use skepticism as motivation, understanding that proving herself was not a one-time event, but a continuous process of excellence. As she prepared for the next phase of her journey, Sarah carried with her the confidence that came from surviving the unsurvivable and the knowledge that she belonged wherever courage, skill, and determination were valued above physical attributes. The young woman who had walked into a recruitment office years earlier, asking to become a SEAL, had been transformed into someone capable of operating in the most dangerous environments on Earth. But her greatest challenges still lay ahead, in operational assignments where her abilities would be tested not in training scenarios, but in life-and-death situations, where failure meant consequences far beyond personal disappointment. The transition from training to operational assignment brought Sarah to SEAL Team 7, based in Coronado, California. Her arrival at the team compound was met with curiosity, skepticism, and the inevitable questions about whether she could perform in real combat situations. The teammates who would potentially trust their lives to her capabilities needed proof beyond training accomplishments. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Webb, the team's commanding officer, was a 20-year veteran who had served in Iraq, Afghanistan, and countless classified operations around the globe. He studied Sarah's training records with interest, but understood that paper accomplishments meant little compared to performance under fire. "Chen, you've got impressive training scores," Webb said during their first meeting. "But this team has been through hell together. They need to know you can carry your weight when bullets start flying and lives are on the line. Earning their trust won't happen overnight." Sarah understood the challenge ahead. Her new teammates were seasoned warriors who had proven themselves in combat. They would judge her not on her Bud/S performance, but on her ability to contribute to mission success and team survival in the most dangerous environments on Earth. The initial months involved intensive team training exercises, designed to integrate new members into established operational patterns. Sarah threw herself into every aspect of preparation, studying team tactics, mastering new weapons systems, and learning the subtle communication methods that allowed SEAL teams to operate with near-telepathic coordination. Her first major exercise involved a simulated hostage rescue in an urban environment. The scenario required precise coordination between team members, with each person responsible for specific sectors and tasks. That meant the difference between mission success and catastrophic failure. Sarah was assigned as the team's designated marksman, responsible for providing overwatch and precision fire support during the assault phase. The position required not just excellent marksmanship, but the ability to make split-second decisions about when to engage targets without compromising teammate positions. From her concealed position 200 meters from the target building, Sarah watched through her scope as her teammates moved into position. The exercise controllers had populated the scenario with multiple hostiles, innocent civilians, and complex tactical challenges that tested every aspect of team coordination. When the assault began, Sarah's role became critical. She identified and eliminated 3 hostile targets that threatened her teammates, while simultaneously providing real-time intelligence about enemy movements and civilian locations. Her shots were precise and timely, delivered with the calm professionalism that marked elite military snipers. "Outstanding work, Chen," Webb said during the post-exercise debrief. "Your overwatch was flawless. You kept the team informed and eliminated threats before they became problems. That's exactly what we need from that position." Her teammates' attitudes began shifting as they witnessed her competence in exercise after exercise. Rodriguez, who had been her swim buddy during Bud/S and had requested assignment to the same team, became one of her strongest advocates. "I keep telling these guys," Rodriguez said during an informal team gathering, "Chen's not just good, she's exceptional. You want someone on Overwatch who never misses and never panics? She's your person." The team's first operational deployment came 8 months after Sarah's arrival. Intelligence indicated a high-value terrorist target was operating from a compound in a hostile region, planning attacks against American interests. The mission would require infiltration, target identification, and either capture or elimination, depending on tactical circumstances. Sarah's role in the operation was crucial. She would provide sniper overwatch during the assault, while simultaneously monitoring communications and coordinating with air support. The mission represented everything she had trained for since walking into that recruitment office years earlier. The infiltration phase went smoothly, with the team moving through hostile territory under cover of darkness to reach their observation positions. Sarah established her sniper hide 300 meters from the target compound, her rifle positioned to cover the primary approach routes while maintaining communication with the assault team. Through her scope, she observed the compound for hours, mapping guard rotations, identifying potential threats, and gathering intelligence that would be crucial for mission success. Her detailed observations revealed security patterns that hadn't been detected by satellite surveillance, information that allowed the team to adjust their approach for maximum effectiveness. When the assault began at 0300 hours, Sarah's role became immediately critical. She identified and eliminated 2 guards who would have compromised the team's approach or suppressed rifle, ensuring that the shots didn't alert other defenders. Tango down, South Wall. She whispered into her radio, providing precise location information to help her teammates navigate around the eliminated threats. The compound assault proceeded flawlessly, with Sarah providing continuous overwatch and intelligence updates. When one team member was pinned down by hostile fire, she identified the source and eliminated the threat with a single precise shot at nearly 400 meters distance. "Nice shooting, Chen," came Webb's voice over the radio. "Target neutralized." The mission concluded successfully with the high-value target captured alive, along with intelligence materials that would prevent multiple planned terrorist attacks. During the extraction, Sarah maintained overwatch until every teammate was safely aboard the extraction helicopter, only then abandoning her position to join them. The post-mission debrief was overwhelmingly positive, with particular praise for Sarah's overwatch performance and tactical intelligence gathering. Her precise marksmanship had eliminated multiple threats without compromising mission security, while her detailed observations had provided crucial tactical advantages. "Chen was outstanding," Webb reported to higher command. "Her performance exceeded expectations in every category. She's not just a competent team member, she's an asset who makes the entire team more effective." Word of Sarah's exceptional performance began spreading through the naval special warfare community. Her combination of technical skills, tactical intelligence, and unshakable composure under pressure marked her as an operator worthy of the most challenging assignments. Over the next 2 years, Sarah participated in dozens of operations across multiple theaters. Her reputation grew with each mission, earning respect from teammates, commanders, and intelligence officials who relied on her unique combination of skills. But success also brought unwanted attention, as word spread about the female SEAL who was performing at the highest levels of special operations. Some observers began questioning whether her accomplishments were authentic. Whispers started in military circles, suggesting that her achievements were exaggerated or that she was receiving special treatment due to her gender. The rumors gained momentum when a disgruntled former SEAL began publicly questioning Sarah's credentials. Marcus Thompson had washed out of Bud/S during Hell Week years earlier and harbored resentment toward the program and its graduates. When he learned about Sarah's success, he saw an opportunity to undermine both her achievements and the military's integration policies. Thompson began spreading rumors on social media and veteran forums, claiming that Sarah's training records had been falsified and that her operational accomplishments were fabricated. He suggested that the military was promoting a fraud to advance political agendas, using her story to justify policies he opposed. "There's no way someone that size could survive real SEAL training," Thompson posted on multiple platforms. "This is all propaganda. They're lying about her credentials to push their diversity agenda." The accusations gained traction among some veterans and military observers who were skeptical of women in combat roles. Despite having no evidence beyond their own prejudices, they began amplifying Thompson's claims and demanding investigations into Sarah's military record. The situation escalated when Thompson filed formal complaints with military authorities and congressional representatives, alleging systematic fraud in Sarah's training documentation and operational records. He claimed to have inside information proving that her achievements were fabricated, though he provided no credible evidence to support his assertions. Military leadership found themselves in a difficult position. They knew Sarah's accomplishments were authentic. Her training instructors, teammates, and commanders had witnessed her performance firsthand. But the growing controversy threatened to undermine public confidence in the military's integration policies and special operations capabilities. The decision was made to conduct a formal investigation into Sarah's credentials. While leadership expected the investigation to vindicate her accomplishments, they understood that the process would be thorough and potentially damaging to her career regardless of the outcome. Sarah learned about the investigation during what should have been a routine briefing about upcoming operations. Instead of mission planning, she found herself facing a panel of investigators who informed her that every aspect of her military career would be scrutinized. "Ma'am, we want to be clear that this investigation is procedural," the lead investigator explained. "We're required to examine these allegations thoroughly, regardless of their apparent merit. Your cooperation is essential to resolving this matter quickly. The investigation consumed weeks of Sarah's time as investigators examined training records, interviewed instructors and teammates, and analyzed documentation from every phase of her military career. The process was invasive and humiliating, requiring her to prove accomplishments that should have been beyond question. Her teammates rallied around her, providing testimony about her operational performance and character. Webb submitted detailed evaluations of her contributions to team missions, while instructors from her training programs vouched for the authenticity of her accomplishments. Sarah Chen is one of the most competent operators I've worked with in 20 years of service, Webb testified. The idea that her record is fraudulent is absurd to anyone who has served alongside her. But the investigation continued, fueled partly by media attention and political pressure from groups opposed to women in combat roles. Sarah found herself at the center of a national debate about military standards and gender integration, with her personal achievements becoming symbols in larger cultural conflicts. The stress of the investigation began affecting her performance and mental health. The woman who had survived Hell Week and performed flawlessly in combat operations found herself struggling with doubt and anxiety about her future in the military. During this difficult period, Sarah received unexpected support from senior military leaders who understood what she was experiencing. Among them was General Patricia Morrison, one of the highest-ranking women in military history and a legend in intelligence and special operations circles. General Morrison requested a private meeting with Sarah, ostensibly to discuss her career development, but actually to provide mentorship and support during the investigation. Their conversation took place in Morrison's office at the Pentagon, far from the speculation and scrutiny surrounding Sarah's situation. "I know what you're going through," Morrison said, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had broken barriers throughout her own career. "I've faced similar challenges, though perhaps not as publicly. The important thing is to remember that your accomplishments speak for themselves." Morrison shared her own experiences with discrimination and doubt, describing how she had overcome skepticism to reach the highest levels of military leadership. Her story provided perspective and encouragement that helped Sarah maintain focus during the investigation. "There are people in this building who know your real value," Morrison continued. "When this investigation concludes, and it will conclude in your favor, you'll have opportunities that reflect your true capabilities." The general's words proved prophetic. As the investigation neared its conclusion, Sarah received orders for a new assignment that would take her career in an unexpected direction. Instead of returning to operational duties, she was being transferred to a highly classified program that few people knew existed. The program involved deep cover operations in areas where traditional military forces couldn't operate effectively. Sarah's unique combination of skills, her ability to blend into civilian environments due to her non-threatening appearance, and her proven competence under pressure, made her ideal for missions that required both technical expertise and nerves of steel. Her new assignment would take her into some of the most dangerous regions on Earth, operating under non-official cover to gather intelligence and conduct operations that would never appear in public records. It was work that only the most trusted and capable operators could handle, representing recognition of her abilities at the highest levels of government. As Sarah prepared for her new role, the investigation into her credentials finally concluded. The investigators found no evidence of fraud or falsified records, instead documenting a career marked by exceptional performance and authentic achievement. The final report was unambiguous in its conclusions. Lieutenant Chen's training and operational records are authentic and accurate. Her accomplishments represent genuine achievement earned through exceptional performance and dedication to duty. The allegations against her are without merit. But the vindication came with new responsibilities and challenges. Sarah's transfer to deep cover operations meant that her future accomplishments would remain classified, unknown to the public, and unavailable to counter future accusations or doubts. The conference room scene where our story began represented the culmination of this journey. Sarah stood accused by people who didn't understand her true role or the classified nature of her recent service. The allegations of stolen valor came from those who couldn't reconcile her appearance with their expectations of what a warrior should look like. When General Morrison entered the room and approached Sarah, she carried with her knowledge of classified operations and achievements that couldn't be discussed in public forums. The general's whispered words contained information that would change everything the accusers thought they knew about the woman standing before them. "Your service record is more distinguished than anyone in this room realizes," Morrison whispered, her voice carrying absolute authority. "The operations you've conducted over the past year have saved more American lives than most people save in entire careers. These people have no idea who they're really dealing with." The general's revelation transformed the atmosphere in the room. While she couldn't discuss specifics of Sarah's classified assignments, her presence and support sent a clear message about Sarah's true status within the military hierarchy. In the days that followed, the accusations against Sarah were quietly withdrawn, as the accusers learned more about her actual service record. The people who had questioned her credentials discovered that they had challenged someone whose contributions to national security far exceeded anything they could imagine. Sarah's story became legend within military circles, though much of it remained classified and unknown to the general public. She had proven that heroism and capability couldn't be measured by physical appearance, and that the most effective warriors were often those who challenged preconceptions about what strength really meant. Years later, as Sarah continued her service in roles that would never be publicly acknowledged, she reflected on the journey that had brought her from a small recruitment office to the pinnacle of military service. The doubts and challenges had made her stronger, while the support of mentors like General Morrison had shown her that excellence was recognized and rewarded by those who truly understood its value. Her legacy extended beyond her personal achievements to inspire future generations of women who would follow similar paths in military service. She had proven that determination, skill, and courage were more important than size or conventional expectations, opening doors for others who might otherwise have been discouraged from pursuing their dreams. The truth that General Morrison had whispered in that conference room was simple but profound. Some heroes operate in shadows, their greatest achievements known only to those who understand the price of freedom and the sacrifice required to protect it. Sarah Chen was one of those heroes, her small stature concealing a warrior's heart that had changed everything people thought they knew about courage and capability.